there was quite a lot of fear playing out here with me to do with all this control coming onto people, and some old sort of trauma. I mean, I feel the people are totally traumatized right now. I can sense that off them. It's like mass trauma for the people. They've been put into this fear state relentlessly now for months. And I can't think that, apart from during a war, and I've never experienced that there's ever been anything like this. And I wonder how long it takes people to get over something like this.
Right. And maybe it's also re-traumatized. Maybe it's already like from down the ancestral line, like coming from the war trauma, reawakening through the collective.
Yeah, and the one that touched me, it's funny you mentioned that, and I felt it was a deep something historical within me, was this idea that just at the moment when the light started to awaken within a lot of the people on the planet, like people starting to drop into their true being, and the ego mind being seen for what it is, and that movement kind of rippling out through work, through people like yourself, touching a lot of people, that suddenly there's a reaction to this and the control comes in. And I have certain narratives like that during the sort of hippie era, that was like, that they started the Vietnam War because of this. Like they really deliberately targeted the youth for their drug taking. I mean, they really hated that. And it was like a program to deliberately get the youth all out back into war. And back historically, for myself, Margaret and I knew the Cathars in the south of France. That was a huge movement, and the people were really awakening then. And then the Catholic Church came in and killed about all of them. Yes, about 2 million people.
Now then, what if? Right. What if there is no separation in that? What if the light itself is the invitation for the next load of emptying out of unconsciousness? What if there's no us and them? What if there's no duality? What if there's no separation anywhere, and this whole play of unveiling, part of it is the emptying out of the darkness coming out into the light? Like, what if the dark and the light are one? What if it's all one movement of one evolution of consciousness itself? It's like levels. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yes, I hear what you're saying, and all these levels are truly in existence. We experience ourselves as 2 points of consciousness in place and time, and we know at the same time that there's only that talking to itself. So that paradox is always at all the levels. So we go to the level where what you're describing has its place, for sure. All of the history and the dynamics of what's gone on. It has its place, and yet then if we open even wider and then wider, it's like the higher we go in the plane, the further away we get from, like the planet Earth is so tiny. And the closer we come, we see all the details. It's perspective, you know what I mean? So depending on where we're actually looking from, if we're looking from within the human experience, then yes, there are all these facets, and it's true. It's not, I'm not denying that. Yet there's also another level where we are all being done. What you find what cannot ever be taken. I hear you, I have thoughts, but I don't go further than that. It's not like I don't then go on like that train, because what we've got is what's here right now. This moment is it. This is it, you know. And any train I go on, because I can go on so many tracks of, you know, there are so many tracks that if I go on, I enter a hell realm. If I really go, my struggle with the struggle that can happen here with life not being the way I want it to be, right? Because if I have my choice, I will be out of this country. But if I go even a few steps with that, I put myself in a place of doomsday, right? Or wherever. So I don't go far. It's like 1, 2, 3 steps, boom, and I'm here. And all that I've ever got is here. All that I've ever will have is what is here now. And this now is everlasting. It doesn't, I am, what cannot be taken away is not dependent on the body mind, actually. Right? Sure, the body mind can be, we can be, well, you know, if you smoke a joint, you become dopey. Anything you put into the system will have its effect in the system. We can be all set into the fault of demented, right? Yet still you will be aware of that. You'll be aware of that. Even if you lost consciousness, something knows. So I don't go like far with that. You know, there are like so many things that if I would go far, I could, especially with Facebook and all the stuff coming out, if I would go more than 1, 2, 3 steps, full on control. However, right, there is a place of, I have the protest with that if it was actually happening, but it's actually not happening in my experience right now. It's a thought, it's an idea, it's a possibility, it's a, right? And trust that there's always going to be a way. Don't let go of the trust. Trust in the Almighty without being a person trusting in the Almighty. Trust that is inherent in its own trust. You know, we all came here as, how did we get here in the first place? It's like a, how did this come about in the first place? Surely not of our doing, right? So, okay, show me. And if there's a way that I can slip out the door, I'll be out the door. But you know what? I am the one who's already out the door, who's put this whole creation into place. So there are all these like levels to it. So let's not get stuck in one level. Do you know what I mean? If I come into one of those levels, I can rant and rave and kick up a fuss, and I will. Believe me, I will. And at the same time, knowing that all will be given, all will be taken, thy will be done. You know, it frees you. And at the same time, the fight and the struggle can be here. It's just, let's not go further than a few steps into what is actually not happening. Do you know what I mean? So there's got to be a way around it. As much as, remember that this whole play is run by brilliance. So if the ego mind can create a way to control the human race, intelligence itself can create the way. When you live in a place like England, these kind of things are much more dense. They're much more kind of as if, you know, people are much more kind of caged, imprisoned. Living in the West, it's just stepping out of the box, which can be the box of your comfort, of your, not comfort zone, but your habitual way of life. You just step out of that and you don't know who you are anymore as a person with a name and a fixed position in life. And you're just a free being moving. You're not held by the laws that keep you in supposed prisons. Do you know what I mean? We need to create spaces where we come together in empowerment. We need to gather in the force of the light. We need to gather as light beings. Yeah. All you need to do is bring a little candle in, as Osho said. Yeah. One small candle dispels darkness. There'll be more and more and more beings like you that are not going to have it. We've got a revolution on our horizon, a revolution of awakened beings, right? Yeah. What will it take to move that in the human race, to stand up and say no? What will it take? Who knows? We've been controlled until this point. We're all somehow controlled on this human plane, but who is controlling the human plane? You see, now I asked that question, who is controlling the human plane? And see where we come. We come completely to silence. Yeah. And that is where each and every one knows that there is an intelligence behind it that's really got the control. Yeah. What does it take for us to, in our evolutionary process, to sharpen up and evolve and come to new levels of ourselves? What does it take if not challenge? If we are not challenged to our extremes, to burst through to places in ourselves that are a bit sleepy when life is all kind of plodding along. What does it take to shake us up and expand beyond all the places that we as human beings have accepted the level of control that, yeah. So if we can take it somehow that it's all part of a greater plan, it's all part of a mystery that's unfolding to itself, and on some level we're all being done. Yeah, we're all being, the mystery is unveiling itself through what we must live through. If we can stay connected to what is the deepest truth in our hearts, every single one of us, constantly stay connected to that. And what does it take for the human race to make that the first and foremost above all else? To stay connected to our honesty, to our truth, to the values on the human level that align to the source of what we are. Those values on the human level that come to the source of our essence. On the human level, those values are expressed as the deepest honesty, the unwillingness to be anything other than true to our hearts, to our deepest calling, to our deepest honesty, to our deepest, truest movement. That is like the meeting place in the heart, between the bridge between our beingness and our humanness. Yeah. And so when those values are what we value the most, and that's the connection, that's all, that's what will take, that's what will guide us exactly what we need to live. And let's not fool ourselves that nobody's getting out of here alive anyway. Right? The destiny of this body-mind is ashes to ashes, dust to dust. It is the destiny of the body-mind. So in the time that whatever we are before the body-mind is here incarnated, its evolution is in bringing what its own essential values into the human experience, regardless of what shape or configuration that ends up looking like, walking as an awakened being, ending up on the cross. However that may show up, you know. We're here living what we need to live. And if we clarify those values and we live that into our body lives rather than be run like robots, then our life becomes an expression of the soul, or whatever we want to call it. Yeah. What else can the life be about? What else could possibly be satisfying? A nice house, a nice car, a garage. So the doorway, rather than be kind of ambitious for a future, the doorway is always what we're living now. And how we relate to ourself, the relationship with ourself, first and foremost, and the expression of that. It's an incredible, incredible mystery unfolding. I mean, wow, to be an expression of the mystery. Let's see, what an interesting place and time to be alive. Yeah? And here we are, meeting right in the midst.